Alright. Hello YouTube, welcome back to Resistance Fall Man. I'm Alloy, and last we left off, I'm in a huge ass freaking tank. Well, just start sharing battlefield.
Baker's welcome, Baker 1. We're at the depot. There's too many of them, sir. We can't take the depot without armor. Armor's on the way. You hold that LZ. No one dies until I get there. Is that clear? Yes, sir.
Dies until he gets
Good.
there.
Winter's out.
Makes it sound like staying alive in this battlefield's easy. So, and it's interesting to me. Wow. It's interesting that they have yet to adapt a suitable strategy to taking out enemy tanks. Because it's clear that either those rockets down there are just designed for anti-air, or they just really have no clue what to do. Clumping together, coming behind me. I mean, obviously, it's the limitation of the hardware of the system at the time, I guess. But they obviously, you know, probably could have developed some sort of anti-tank weapon. I suppose. Friends.
The Americans regrouped at an abandoned bus depot in southeast York. Under the command of a Captain Winters, they staged a daring tactical offensive. The Chimera had begun to close in on their position. If the Americans could secure the site, they would have a perfect landing zone, and the battle would tip in their favor.
Battle would have tipped in our favor. Alright. So, I'm not a big fan of this particular segment of the game. But, I think that's partially my fault, my own fault.
They must know this is a prime landing zone. If we can hold it, we'll get some reinforcements of our own in here. Yes, sir.
Jump down here. Could have stayed up there where it was safe. No grenades, no nothing.
They're tearing us to shreds. Get out of that situation. Sir, yes, sir.
Shot at. Yep. That's a great start too.
Gibson, those machine guns are tearing us to shreds. Get out of that situation. Sir, yes, sir. Those goddamn machine guns will bury us all. Winkler, give me a base of fire on that entrenchment. Peyton, follow up on the inside. Get it done.
Am I clear? Yes, I'm clear. Alright, let's go. Charge! These are supposed to be rangers? damage. Bad. Bad. I can't go that way. As in the dialogue, it's suicide to charge a machine gun from the front. Out into that thing. Thinking a grenade will do the job for me, but no.
Machine guns are tearing us to shreds! Get out of that situation! Sir, yes, sir! Those goddamn machine guns will bury us all! Winkler, give me a base of fire on that entrenchment! We can follow up on the inside! Get it done!
That way. That is, I am still very up there.
Wall, Kimball, take your squad and back him up.
We're getting in!
you know, I'm just creating a stockpile of videos, so when crunch time rolls around, I don't have to worry about this. We could, but hold on. Did I overthrow? No, I very rarely use the crouch feature in this game. In like actual combat. Document.
At the fuel station, 9 o'clock.
Reading is fun. I mean, it's not wrong. Reading can be a very fun way to pass the time. I just haven't read any good books lately.
Sarge, look out!
Oh wow. Unfortunately, it won't be enough to stop them.
Well fought. We might just hold this little piece of heaven. Tabazzini, bring those tanks in here and scrape out a landing zone. Sir! Incoming!
There, 100. And that's how all of the American forces in
We know from the
York got
craters that the Chimera ended the battle by launching spires. There is no defense against a spire attack. By the time you see them in the air, it's already too late. After impact, the spires release swarms of crawlers. Literally thousands of them can come from a single spire. Whole cities have been infected in minutes. After the crawlers have done their work, the Chimeras send in carriers to collect the dormant victims. The role of the carriers is to transport infected humans to conversion centers. It's at these locations that the Chimeran creatures are born. Hale was brought to a conversion center in the town of Grimsby. My convoy team and I were imprisoned at the same location. We had been captured uninfected, so we were put in makeshift pens until they could infect us.
Yep. So goes the story of how all of the American forces in York were killed / converted / captured, and how I was, or rather Hale was put in the MIA list. But as the story goes, this is some other stuff. Chimeran Conversion Center, Grimsby, England. 12 July 1951, 3:15 GMT. Oh, a new enemy. Alright, new enemy. A new location. Chimera. Manual. Okay, unlike other Chimera intended for combat, the manual strain is bred to be a tool for basic labor. Manuals will generally ignore other Chimera as they mindlessly handle their duties. Seldom encountered in combat, they are unarmed and appear sluggish and non-aggressive. However, like all Chimera, manuals are unpredictable. They should be considered dangerous, especially when cornered. Not yet. Carrier. Yes. Carriers collect infected humans from the battlefield after a crawler attack. They fetch their catch to the ferry their catch to the nearest conversion center. As these infected bodies are also the carrier's food source, not all of them survive to be converted. Early in the Chimera invasion of Britain, carriers formed caravans hundreds of miles long. It is unknown if the carriers have found a new role now that fewer victims are available for conversion. So, we just happen to be a fortunate one. Because, what up? So, there is a trophy, or rather a skill point, because this game's old, for beating this entire level without getting grappled by one of these guys. And I don't know if I've actually done that. Extras, skill points. Reading is fun. Grimsby. I guess I haven't. Personal space. Oh, and these are little... I think those are explosion generators. There's, Now these guys are relatively quiet, and they are the equivalent of I guess you could say zombies, really. And there's some people who are very intimidated by these things, and I don't exactly blame them. Later on in the level, you have to encounter them, and their little moaning is rather quiet when compared to that of hybrids shooting at you. So, yeah. So the textures aren't very high to detail.
Oi, mate! Over here! Over here! Help us! Get us the hell out of here!
Hey! Over here! The console! Shoot the console! Bloody hell! Thanks for that. I'm Parker.
Hey, Sergeant Hale, 1st Rangers.
An American. We thought the Chimera stopped all of you in York.
Chimera?
Those creatures. Oh, you jammed it. I'm sorry, Hale. Looks like you'll have to find your own way out. I'll be in touch. Frequency 77.6. It was strange enough that a lone American soldier was walking around a Chimeran conversion center, but it was his eyes that were most disturbing. They showed unmistakable Chimeran traits. It was subtle, but it was there. Whoever Nathan Hale was, he wasn't entirely human.
And so, that is the backstory of the chick who's been narrating this story thus far. She was captured. Hale let her out, I mean, and such and such. There's also a document in here around somewhere which stated that about other soldiers who were imprisoned here upon imprisonment. Very careful of corners in this level. If you want to go for the trophy or skill point, don't. Just check all corners. Teaching you how to melee at this point. He's there. Corner's clear. No, in the first part, it really isn't that hard to not get grabbed if you're very mindful of your corners. Here's some serum in case you did screw that part up. And here comes the rest of security. Bonsai. Oh, speaking of bonsai. Oh, I'm gonna die. The squad's signature is shouting bonsai right before we do a battle. Into a bat. Jesus Christ. Very unsettling. Also, do not really trust those orbs or spheres or whatever you want to call it. There are some of the Cloven in the holding pen across from us. I hope we get to see them infected before the crawlers get to us. I bet they make slip skulls out of the devils. Women have been screaming for hours. Justin knows a little Russian, says they're yelling something about the angry night coming. Crazy bastards. GMT. The manuals finally began infecting the Cloven. They didn't fight against the crawlers. They all simply shoot the veins out of their own wrists. They bled to death rather than be converted. Must have been a document I picked up beforehand and just vaguely remembered. Now I am not sure if I lost a skill point when that manual jumped at me and I died. So it's a speak all machine. But so, yeah, there goes my skill point. Anyway. Switch. Elevator. In case of fire, do not use lift.
Come
There's the carriers delivering more of our boys. Whether or not they actually can survive that fall is beyond me. Alright, mines. This is the... There are 3 kinds of mines in this game. The first kind, which you just encountered. It shoots out of the ground, a little drone, and will shoot you. If you aren't careful. Is this an engine block? Very cheap engine block, I might add. Oh, and a shotgun. So, this is a shotgun. What's more for me to say? And I suppose I'll read the document too. Weapons, Rossmore 236. The Rossmore 236 combat shotgun is employed by the British Army for base defense and urban warfare. It is noted for its potent stopping power, especially in close quarters engagements. Since the Khmer invasion, soldiers have found the shotgun very adept in dispatching howlers. Pressing L1 discharges both barrels. This method is less efficient than firing the barrel singly, but sometimes it's effectively using it effectively. Does not mean the difference between life and death. Excuse me. It's a shotgun. You got a regular trigger, and then you've got the panic button. Panic button fires 2 shotty shells at once. I suppose I will try using it, but I'm not a. I won't say I'm not a big fan of it. It's just that I don't like using it against the Chimera. But it helps against certain enemies. Just not all types of enemies. Hedgehog grenades. I like hedgehog grenades. Oops. I just forget how to change them. There we go. Oops. So yeah, that's what they do. They shoot up a spike and they kill it. Okay, I'm gonna stop using the shotgun. I think you guys get the picture. You would think highly trained super soldiers would know how to not do stuff like that. How many bonks on the head does it take to kill a Chimera? Suppose it did. But, well, the time to cut the recording again. So, hello YouTube. This is YouTube. This is Alloway, and I'll be signing off for now. Peace, and see you in the next video.